I was expecting to be a lifelong member. I held such a strong relationship with the Seventh Day Adventist Church, so it was a really hard decision to eventually leave. Here's why I made that decision. Quick disclaimer, throughout the video I may not always say Seventh Day, but when I say Adventist or Adventism, I only mean Seventh Day Adventism, because I'm not that well educated on the other forms of Adventism that are out there. I may also abbreviate Seventh Day Adventist to SDA. So before you continue with the video, remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. So a bit of backstory. I was Seventh Day Adventist until the age of 16, at which point I lost my belief. My mum brought me up in the church from day one, and I took the religion seriously. I was baptized at the age of 14, which is akin to a confirmation in the Catholic Church, and became a deacon not long after that. During my time as a deacon, I even did a couple of sermons, but it was during my A levels when I studied philosophy when everything changed for me. So the A levels take place during the last 2 years of high school. And I'll go into further detail of exactly why philosophy changed my mind about the idea of not only being SDA, but Christian as a whole. But for now, we'll get into the finer details as to why Adventism specifically wasn't for me anymore.
Point 1. Belief in the church itself.
I know this sounds weird, but you'll get the point eventually. Still to this day, I view Seventh Day Adventism as one of the most respectable forms of Christianity. I really like the way it aims to uphold the laws of the Old Testament for the most part, and it tries to remain as accurate as possible to the biblical teachings available. The issue then became, if one aspect of being SDA cracked under pressure, it was very easy for the rest of the pieces to fall. And once I had decided to leave the SDA Church, it became illogical to join another denomination of Christianity with a less robust law system. And all of the other religions that I've encountered so far haven't provided me with a convincing enough argument on why I should convert to them. I know that Adventists have a bad rep with other Christians, but I still believe if Christianity was to be proven to be true, then it's highly unlikely God would be unhappy with the behavior of devout Adventists. Yes, it's a bias I have, but God seems quite a strict character in the Bible, and SDA churchgoers live quite strict lifestyles. It seems a perfect match. Maybe I'm wrong though.
Point 2. Biblical literalism and the creation of angels.
Seventh Day Adventists aim to follow the Bible as closely as possible, and this leads to beliefs such as the world being around 6,000 years old, evolution being an unverified theory, and the story of Noah's Ark being a factual account. Now, there are numerous holes in the logic for each of those claims, but what changed my mind initially was being reminded in philosophy class that the classical theistic God, the God of Adventism, has three main features to note: omnipotence, omniscience, and benevolence. This idea made me feel uncomfortable straight away. I felt it in my gut, and my naturally inquisitive nature caused me to ask why continually until I figured out what was the core of the issue for me. It ended up being, if God is all powerful, all knowing, and all loving, why would he create this Lucifer figure who would eventually become Satan, tempt humanity into making this decision that would cause their demise? So I went to my fellow church members, the most senior, trusted, and respected ones available, and I asked them, why would God create Lucifer? And the response that I received most often was that, well, God gave Lucifer free will. It wasn't God's fault that he eventually chose to become Satan. But that logic didn't hold any weight for me. If God had decided to not give any of his angels free will, in my mind, that removes the possibility of suffering for all of humanity. And that sounds like the most pleasant option available. Another question that triggered my disbelief is, why would God even create angels in the first place? And the answer I received was, well, God desired to be worshipped. And this answer was another one I considered unacceptable. I can't consider a being perfect if they show any level of narcissism. And to create beings for the sole purpose of worshipping you seems a tad conceited, to say the least. And with that point, I'll end part 1 of the video. Part 2 will be me talking about what now as an atheist keeps me from going back to the church, and Seventh Day Adventism in particular. With that being said, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. This has been Apart from the Obvious. Keep setting yourself apart, and I look forward to seeing you soon.